Recently, I watched and react to a video about Sikhism, and under that video, we have an interesting comment which we will be reacting today. This is the video, and under the video, we'll have this particular comment. This is by IK, or is it LK? I'm not sure. And why I'm interested is because he or she, but I'm gonna assume he, because there's no indication about whether this is a male or female. 15 reasons to choose Sikhi versus Islam. So this is interesting because he listed 15 items or points to show why Sikhism is better than Islam. So we'll just go straight into the comments and my reaction to it. And because at the end of this one, there's also a video that we will be watching about Sikhism, right? So we'll go by one. Right, so number one, daily langar, in bracket food, served to feed all mankind to satisfy the mind. Okay, we'll read these three because it seems related. Number two, daily delicacy, in bracket sweet pudding, to satisfy the heart. And number three, daily musical praise, kirtan, to satisfy the soul. So this is interesting because it gives the, I assume this is the daily actions that is being done by Sikh. One is food served to feed all mankind, to satisfy the mind. So I'm not sure what this means, meaning is it the food itself or is it serving the food that is satisfying the mind? Is it the act of charity, or is it the food actually affect the mind? So maybe some elaboration or explanation would be helpful for me to understand. And if it's the food, I'm not sure what is mind, how is mind related to the food. If you say brain, like brain health for example, well, perhaps, but mind is normally beyond brain, right? Is it the act of charity? So I'm not sure how to relate. And then daily delicacy, sweet pudding, to satisfy the heart. So this is also interesting, because normally when we say heart, we are talking about feeling, things like that. But when you relate delicacy like sweet pudding to heart, is it more to the physical heart, meaning that the pudding is good for the heart? I don't know, not much cholesterol or something, or is it somehow related to it affect how you feel or something? That's interesting. I'm interested to know more. And daily musical praise, to satisfy the soul. And this is also interesting, how the heart is separated to the soul. Because normally, I think when we discuss about heart, normally not the physical heart, but when we say the issue of the heart and the issue of the soul, normally it's discussed together. So when you say heart and soul as separate, I'm interested to know, how this mind, heart and soul is being viewed in Sikhism. And then blessed with 5 physical articles to fight the main 5 vices. Kara against greed, Kangha against attachment, Kes against pride, Sword against anger, and Kachara against desire. So when we say 5 physical articles, meaning that 5 things, right? I'm not sure what is Kara, Kangha, Kes is, but sword is actually, is it the physical sword? And Kachera. So I only know this word sword. The rest is not English word. So I'm interested, what is there a original word for sword? Because the rest are not English word, right? Or is sword the only word that can be translated into English? But in this case, when we say to fight against these 5 vices, greed, attachment, I assume this is attachment to worldly life, attachment to wealth, etc., pride, anger, and desire. From my experience as a Muslim, there are many things. One of it, the routine tadabbur of the Quran helped me to deal with this, meaning constant reminder and replenishment of the heart, etc. To cater for, you know, dealing with greed, attachment with the worldly life, pride, anger, desire, and much more. So yeah, we have that, you know, mechanism to deal with these vices as well. And then minimum of 7 daily lengthy prayers for a sublime uplifting experience of the divine, 5 in the morning, 1 in the evening, 1 before bed, to ward off bad external vibes. If learned off by heart, you'll accumulate your spiritual bank account to use at any time in life. That is an interesting concept, meaning that you have like spiritual bank account where you can accumulate spiritual, you know, monetary thing. I'm not sure what it's called, and you can use at any time in life. So how does it work? Meaning that do you know how much you have saved in the bank and how much you can take out to, you know, to use at any time, or how? Because that is the first time I have heard of something like that. The concept of sin and in Islam, in Arabic we have ajr, right? I'm not sure how that is translated into English, because in English I think sin is a thing, but the opposite of sin, I'm not sure whether there's a word for it, meaning that like sins is like a negative coin, right? Negative currency, while what is the positive currency? I'm not sure if there's a word in English in that. Is it something like that where you accumulate, but because normally that implicates you know, your judgment in the hereafter, but here it is more of you can use it, you know, during your life. Interested to if there's any video that explains this concept. I'm interested to know how that works. But here this guy actually compared this to only 5 short prayers. So I think this is about, because in Islam we have 5 daily compulsory salat, right, prayer. So 7 lengthy prayers. So number 1, I'm interested to know how long normally this lengthy prayer, and is it compulsory, meaning that all Sikh that follow Sikhism do have to complete this 7 daily lengthy prayer. And lengthy, how long is it, right? Half an hour, 1 hour. Interested to know, because of course, yes, the compulsory prayers, the salat in Islam, is not lengthy, right? It's 15 to 20 minutes normally, right? Of course, for you know, for those, you know, better Muslim or good Muslim that you can see in the mosque, in the masjid, normally they are there during the azan or right after the azan until the prayer time, and afterwards also they're still being there for an additional moment for zikir, for dua, etc., right? So normally each prayer, the total time spent in the masjid, for example, maybe like almost half an hour. Of course, I'm not as good as that, I have to admit. Normally I just come for that prayer and just afterwards a little bit, and then I continue with you know, our daily chores and work. But at the same time, we also have other prayers. One is, when we say prayer, because Muslim in Islam, the 5 daily compulsory prayer is the salat. Before and after, normally we have the non-compulsory salat as well, right? So for example, before Fajr we have 2 raka'ah, and then the compulsory 2 raka'ah, right? And then before Zuhur, 2 raka'ah non-compulsory, and then 4 raka'ah compulsory, and then another 2 afterwards non-compulsory, etc. So actually, if you want to count all of those, for normal practicing Muslim, is much more than 5. Not to mention the night prayer, right? The night salat. Normally, I have to admit, I'm kind of a lazy Muslim, so normally after Isha, I straight away settle my Qiyamul Lail salat and Witir salat straight away, right? So after Isha, and perhaps Ba'diyah, Tahajjud or Qiyam, and then Witir straight away, so that I can make sure that every single night throughout the year I complete my qiyam and also my witr. I know many better Muslim than me that preserve that and consistently wake up before Fajr, 5 a.m. 4:30 a.m. for example, to perform that tahajjud and witr, etc. So it's much more than 5 for normal practicing Muslim. So if you want to count that. So but anyway, so I'm interested to know that this 7 daily lengthy prayer, is it compulsory, and when you say lengthy, how long is it normally? Interested to know. And then number 6, Jab G, Sahab is a journey through the cosmos within the own self. I'm not sure what this is. Is it because it says a journey, but within own self? Is it like meditation of something where you just meditate, something like that? Is it? I'm not familiar with this. Number 7, its own scientific martial art, regardless of age, gender, or sexuality, versus no martial art in Islam. That is interesting. Meaning that you have a specific martial art that is linked directly with the religion, is it? Of course, in Islam, there's no such thing as this is Islamic martial art. The concept in Islam is basically anything that is to do with the reality of this world is within the law of this world. For example, there's no such thing as how to plant trees in according to Islam, when we understand that what is the best practice using science, using understanding of this world, right? So hence that's why you can see that the advancement of science and scientific knowledge, scientific discovery under the Islamic civilization is to the max, that we still feel it and benefit from it until today, because in Islam, it's part of Islam itself to understand the world, to do the best in the worldly aspect. That includes actually martial art, right? So what is it that is the best in that reality, in that time, etc. So in the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba, they have wrestling, and then they have shooting arrow, skill of riding horses, etc. That becomes the norm that a Muslim should be able to do skillfully, because that's the martial art of that time. So, and that developed with the necessity of the time. So that's how Islam views aspect like this. But it is interesting to know that I'm not sure whether this is compulsory or is it optional, or every Sikh actually learn this specific martial art. Interested to learn about this. Serve humanity without desire, reward, or heaven. So meaning you serve humanity without desire, okay, but without reward or heaven, meaning that even reward of heaven that God want to give you is also seen as a negative thing here, with the purpose to efface one's pride or ego and flourish one's own humility. Reward, in brackets self-liberation, can be obtained on earth. If one still seeks an external heaven, then mind's desires still exist, filth remain. So this is an interesting concept where desire is by default filth. In Islam, desire is not by default filth. Desire outside of what is allowed, desired in something that is prohibited, etc., is wrong. But desire to to have a loving relationship with a wife, desire to have good children and have a positive relationship with the children, etc., those are desires as well, and it's not wrong and it's not filth. So that's just an example of this worldly life. So not all desire desire to be successful, etc. So it is not filth in Islamic worldview. But there are many desire that is okay, this is prohibited, so it becomes filth, it becomes wrong, it becomes sin to go after prohibited things. Alright. Nana knew of countless skies, heavens, out of trillion of celestial bodies versus only one or only 7 heavens. So this is interesting. This is about the concept or the mention of 7 heaven and the countless skies of heaven out of trillion of celestial bodies. Now, interesting comparison. In Islam, I believe, because I'm not an expert in this discussion, and we are not, it is not being compulsory to understand in Islam what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heaven or skies. But normally what is described as, meaning you know that trillion of celestial bodies, right? Meaning whatever the, I think recently is it the Hubble or what telescope that snapped the most clear image of, you know, stars, etc. All of those is still in the first sky, right? First sama, right? And second until 7 is beyond that. I think that's the general consensus within Muslim, meaning whatever the telescope can see trillion years of light years ahead, that still generally is the first layer of heaven, not the 7 yet. So you cannot compare countless of sky and heaven out of trillion of celestial bodies to that 7, as if that 7 is just, I don't know, the, you know, the nearest star. I'm not sure. Yep. Nutritional vegetarian diet versus carnivorous diet. So I assume here you want to say that vegetarian diet is better than carnivorous diet, meaning that vegetarian diet is better than eating meat, for example, right? Now, first, if you want to say which is better, you have to clarify what is the criteria to say which is better. On what basis you're saying this is better than this, right? Otherwise we cannot say which is better. Why is vegetarian better than not non-vegetarian, or vice versa? Is it based on nutrition? Is it based on what? So that have to be defined first. Otherwise it's just, you know, personal opinion, I guess. Daily chant meditation during the ambrosial hours of the day. Okay, so meaning you have meditation, so that's different than above, right? So the above is not meditation, I guess. The divine spoke to Nanak directly and gave the Mul Mantar, an invocation of the qualities, attributes of the divine, as opposed to indirectly via an angel or other middleman. No surah in the Quran states that God spoke to Muhammad directly, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, this is an interesting comparison, and this is basically the claim of each religion, right? Meaning that in Sikh it claims that Nanak directly gave the divine Mul Mantar. I'm not sure what that is. Is that the book? Directly from spoke directly from the divine, while Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam get from via Jibril, for example, right? Now, to say which claim is better, I don't see how that makes sense, to be honest, because if one claim is true, one claim is false, regardless of how interesting the story or what, true and false is still true and false. So we have to define how to know which is the truth, right? To me, if we just compare which claim or which story is more magnificent or greater, for example, then if you give this comparison, would you say that the claim of Christianity is much better because Muhammad, there's Jibril, and then you say Nanak get directly spoken, but in Christianity the divine walked the earth himself in person, right? Meaning that's better, right? But we don't compare as such, right? Meaning that suddenly there's a different religion that claims even greater stories. But from my perspective, we have to define, okay, how to see which claim is true, because when it's true, it's true. If it's just a claim, it's just a claim. All right. Direct God, number 13. Direct God praise as opposed to idol worshipping via circumambulating a black stone. Okay, I'm not sure. I assume this is based on some misinformation about the Hajj, I think. Now, when you say direct God praise, if you understand the Salat, the 5 daily prayers, etc., so that's exactly direct God praise, on direct, communicating with God. So yeah, that's in Islam. Of course, I think this is about the tawaf, right? So that's following the commandment of Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Just like you say, meditation or something that you have. I'm not sure. I assume that is based on the divine, based on Sikhism, right? It's not like you created something on your own. So this comparison is interesting. It's not valid. Formal initiation ceremony requires loving discipline by the devotee, to which he or she will receive sacred nectar in an iron vessel stirred by double-edged sword, whilst reciting the 5 chants of the divine attributes, versus a small 2-line recitation in front of a witness. Okay, I think this is about getting into the religion, right? Because that small 2-line recitation is, I believe, the 2 kalimah shahada, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, right? So when someone want to become a Muslim, make it official, that's the 2 kalimah shahada, where you basically become a witness, you bear witness that you believe this, right? Allah, there's none worthy of worship except God Almighty, Allah alone, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger. So that's the process. It's a simple process. So you are saying that this is much better process, where you have received sacred nectar. I'm not sure what that is, in an iron vessel stirred by double-edged sword. Okay, so is there any video on this? I'm interested to see how this happen. I want to see that double-edged sword. Is it a specific double-edged sword or any double-edged sword? Interested to see. But yeah, again, this goes to what is true, what comes from the truth, and what is invention of human. Right, so whatever process comes from the truth, that is what I will be following, I guess. Central divine text sources multiple languages as opposed to only one. So I'm assuming this is to compare to the Quran, which is in Arabic. So when you say central divine text sources multiple languages, meaning the original text in Sikhism is already in multiple language, meaning that going to this, the divine spoke to Nanak directly in multiple languages. Is that what that means? And hence you have multiple languages of text originally, because in the Quran, of course, it is in Arabic, but the translation is available in various languages, right? So if you want to access what is being said, the messages, it is available in multiple languages. But if you are comparing to only one, because the Quran originally and preserved in Arabic, so by contrast, is the text of Sikhism originally comes in multiple languages. That is interesting. If it's translated, then there's a different thing, right? You cannot compare then, because that's translation, and Quran also have translation in multiple languages. But when you say, because Quran is Quran in Arabic, so means that the text, the divine text in Sikhism originally come in multiple languages. I'm interested to know what's the story there, because I always assume normally it's one language, because the original people that follow that religion is from one part of the world with one language, right? Normally that's how it is in any language, in any religion. So I'm interested to know if originally, even though the people is speaking one language, but the text is already available in multiple languages. Feel free to share about this. Now we have this video, so we'll go straight into watching this one. Right, so let's go.
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਚੈਨਲ। ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਨਾਮ ਜਪੇ ਨਾਮੋ ਆਰਾਧੇ ਨਾਮੇ ਸੁਖ ਸਮਾਵੇ। ਨਾਮ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਕਈ ਰੂਪਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਵੀ
Okay, I hope this will be in English.
ਨਾਮ ਹੀ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਨ ਮਾਤਾ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਖਾਲਸਾ। ਮਾਤਾ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ
Okay,
ਨਾਮ
this is not in English, so I cannot. Okay, let's fast forward and see.
ਕੀ ਹੈ? ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਕਾਰ ਸਾਰਾ ਹੀ ਆਕਾਰ ਨਾਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਧਾਰਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ।
Okay, so I cannot understand it.
ਮੇਰੇ ਮਾਲਕ ਤੂੰ ਵਾਹ। ਹੋਰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਮਝ ਲਓ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ
Okay, so even though the person give the link here, I'm not sure whether he assume I can understand this language, because I can't. There's something here that is written in English, love, but it's difficult to follow what this is going, what which she's saying when this is point form of, so unfortunately I cannot react to this video. Perhaps is it the case that many authentic sources about Sikh available is only in this language, the original language, hence it's very difficult to give English source of videos where I can watch. Yeah, so I guess this is it for this reaction. We have commented or reacted to the comment itself. I was expecting to be watching the video, but unfortunately it's not in English. So feel free to suggest other video that perhaps is in English, which I can understand, and of course most of the audience can understand as well, because most of my audience are watching this video in English. I haven't normally my videos are either in English or in Malay. So far I haven't done in Arabic yet, but this is it Hindi or is it I'm not sure what language it is, but I don't understand this. So with that, thank you for watching. See you next time.